I'm about to show you the new way of generating motivated seller leads in 2025. After scaling my own wholesaling business to doing more than 7 figures and scaling over 36 other investors to doing 100K or more per month. If you're a wholesaler and you're stuck between 30 to 50K per month, or maybe you have hit 100K a month here and there, but you're struggling to do it consistently, I'm about to give you the plug and play system to consistently close more motivated sellers than you know what to do with. My name is Joshua Dayrit. I started as a real estate investor myself back in 2018, generating my own motivated seller leads for my own business, and I scaled it to 7 figures. Since then, I've helped some of the biggest REI companies in the nation scale to record numbers in their companies. And just last month, one of our clients closed over $400,000 in revenue from the leads that we generated. And that was just 1 month. If you're here and you're watching this, just want to let you know you're not alone if you're struggling right now. Every single successful client that we've worked with started by watching this same exact video. They started with maybe inconsistent lead flow or low quality leads, unpredictable revenue months, and really just that feeling of constantly being stuck on a hamster wheel. Here's what I'm kind of seeing in 2025, and maybe you're experiencing this too. So let's just dive straight in. Number one is that traditional lead sources are getting more and more expensive. Cold calling, everyone's doing it, but lead to contract is crazy high. Things are getting less effective. So like response rates with direct mail are all-time low. Pay-per lead, you're really just paying for low quality inbound leads and you're paying a premium price for them. And then we have social media ads, which are honestly just kind of trash. Like Facebook ads, Instagram ads are really, really low quality leads. Second is that there are more companies marketing than ever. So marketing to specific local markets is getting insanely expensive. So like I said, more wholesalers and flippers than ever before. We're all kind of fighting for the same motivated seller leads in that same market. So this means higher cost, lower conversions, cap scalability. So like you can only do so many deals in your one market. And you also need to do more exit strategies in order to get an ROI. And the third thing is that there's a lack of a system that consistently works. So you might have a good month here or there, but you can't predictably close 5 to 10 deals per month. This includes issues like unpredictable lead flow, low quality leads, inability to scale profitably. And what that causes is you to basically ride what we would call this, revenue roller coaster. And it just gets super exhausting. And so if you're experiencing this, I just want to let you know you're not alone. The thing is, and this is kind of frustrating to me, is that you're better than your competition. And that, you can close sellers, you treat sellers better, and you can get results. But really none of that matters unless you can get in front of motivated seller leads consistently. Just like the absolute worst part about this here is just that you're probably spending more time looking for good leads and sellers that you can actually close rather than focusing on selling your deals. That's just completely backwards, right? You want to be focused on actually selling deals, if possible, more so than just trying to find the leads. And obviously we want to have a consistent, predictable system. This is exactly why we've created what I would call the predictive AI seller lead system. And this is completely different from anything else you've ever seen in the space. While everyone else is chasing cold call leads or overpaying for PPL leads, we're getting cost efficient, high intent, motivated sellers to come to us. We're leveraging Google's AI algorithm trained on bottom of funnel metrics like qualified leads and signed contracts to put your ads in front of sellers who are not just going to become a lead, but are most likely to sign a contract with your company. Think about it this way. Google has over 8,000 data points on every user in its system. And when we give Google's algorithm its data, it uses those data points to target future traffic. And when we train it based on the best leads that are in your CRM, what do you think happens? You get more seller leads with similar distress points and characteristics to the best leads in your system. This means more motivated sellers, bigger deal spreads, and easier times selling deals. Before we jump into how the system works, where most investors get this wrong is they end up setting up Google ad campaigns and burn through thousands of dollars. So they think that, hey, I can throw up some ad campaigns and, with some random keywords and start getting deals. Truthfully, that just doesn't work. You need 3 critical components working together to actually get this to work. Number one is going to be location strategy. What we do is we use real-time market data to identify the best virtual markets in the country that are right at your disposal. So we target virtual markets with massive buyer demand so that you can easily sell your wholesale and novation deals quickly, but also be able to cut your lead costs down between 50 to up to 80%. So when we go virtual, we're able to drop the lead cost tremendously versus that when we do local. The second component to having this work properly is high intent traffic with conversion optimized systems. What I mean by that is that, targeting the right market, we'll call it like 25% of the battle. You need to have the right systems in place to attract motivated sellers that you can actually convert into leads, right? So what we've done is we've already done all the heavy lifting. We've spent over, at this point, it looks like $11 million in ads, but I'll say $10 million. And we've collected all this data to tell us exactly what works, what keywords are the best keywords, what markets are the best markets, what audiences, all that good stuff. And so we're leveraging all the data that we have, and we're driving sellers from Google Ads to a landing page where we will convert 25 to 35% of the leads into a qualified lead, right? Or sorry, visitors into a qualified lead. Industry average here is usually most real estate investors are only going to convert, I'll say like 8 to maybe 10% of the website visitors. For us, we're going to be converting 25 to 30%. So there's a massive lift you get in lead volume from this one specific thing. Number 3, and this is component number 3 of our system here, is what we would call our predictive AI and KPI tracking. Here we have our component 3A, which is predictive AI. And this is basically where the magic really happens, right? We're training Google's algorithm based on the best previously generated leads in your CRM to create more predictable, high quality lead flow. And then we use all this data to track it. So let me explain how it works. So again, we're driving traffic from Google Ads to a landing page. They become a seller in your system, and ultimately they're a lead. We filter them. We make sure that, hey, this is actually an off-market seller. We feed this good data back into Google. What most people do is they'll go ahead and just let anybody come into their website, wholesalers, listed properties, spam submissions, stuff like that. We only push off-market sellers through, so that way we can put good data back into Google. Once we've done that, we also build an integration with your CRM to then train it on the stages in your sales process when leads hit it. So when a lead becomes qualified, when a lead becomes a contract, and ultimately a closed deal, we feed this positive data back into Google to teach exactly who we're looking for, right? We're feeding Google positive data so it knows exactly who we're looking for. And what this leads to is better quality leads, easier sellers to deal with, bigger spreads, deals that you can sell faster and easier, and it makes everything better with the channel, okay? The second part of this is what we would call component 3B, which is the KPI tracking. So because we're putting this data back in, like leads, qualified leads, and contracts, we can see your business in a screenshot view where we actually can identify what is working and what is not working. So the first view that we would want to look at this from is basically from the view of a operational standpoint. What I mean by this, if it takes a lot of gross leads to get a qualified lead, then more than likely there's a marketing issue. If it takes a ton of qualified leads to get a signed contract, then it's obvious that we have a sales issue. Here we can see, second piece, this is the financial piece, is we can see financially what's actually working in your business, right? So we can see that campaign 1, we had a $1,000 cost per contract, campaign 2, $2,000, campaign 3, $1,700, and then campaign 4, $4,100. Obviously, if we're trying to get the highest return on ad spend possible and do the most amount of deals possible, we're not going to keep this on, right? So we would shut this one off, reallocate the dollars here. Really, this screenshot view allows us to be able to, look at your business and say, hey, do you have a, marketing or sales issue? And then number 2 is, can we financially maximize your marketing dollars to make sure you're getting the highest return on ad spend possible? I just want you to take a second and I guess just imagine this. Imagine waking up every morning and seeing your CRM filled with motivated seller leads, and you know exactly how many leads it takes to get to a qualified lead, how many qualified leads it takes to get a contract, what your cost per lead is, what your cost per qualified lead is, and cost per contract is. And just imagine how much clarity and predictability this would give you, so you know exactly what it's going to take to sign your next maybe 5, 10, or even 15 deals. You can just picture yourself ultimately being in this place where it's like, hey, look, this last week I got 40 leads, 20 of them were qualified, and I ended up signing 4 contracts, which would be phenomenal. All the KPIs are tracked, you know exactly what's working, and really you just know how to scale your business at this point. I just want to say that, if you're listening to this right now and you're like, oh man, that sounds great, maybe it works in theory, but it won't actually work like that. I want to let you know, this is not a fantasy, right? This happens when you create a predictable off-market acquisition system that actually works. I just want to take a second to say, if this does sound like something that, hey, maybe you're interested in, I want to know if this will work in my business, here's what I want you to do. Below this video, in the description, you'll see a button that says get your custom scaling roadmap. And when you click that button, you're going to be taken to a short application page. And this application page is going to ask you about your current business, your market that you're currently in, kind of your strategy, strategy, and what your goals are. It takes about 3 minutes to complete. Once you submit that application, you'll be taken to a calendar page where you can book a call with our team. On this call, we're going to show you exactly how we can customize this system for your specific business. And in that call, we're going to identify your bottlenecks, tell you exactly what you need to work on, and create a custom roadmap for you to get to 100K per month consistently, 200K, or even 400K per month. But here's the thing, right? This isn't for everybody. I just want to let you know we don't work with everyone. We're really selective about who we partner with because we want to ensure high level of success for every single client that we take on. We typically only work with investors who are already doing a minimum of 2 deals per month or have a minimum of $5,000 per month ready to invest into marketing to scale their business. If you are serious about building a predictable deal flow and acquisition system in your business and you're ready to invest into a system that actually works, just click the button below and let's have a conversation. At this point, you're probably thinking, hey, like all of this sounds great, but I still have some questions and I want to see some more proof. So I just want to show you a few case studies where we've absolutely crushed it for clients. You can see on the screen here, we have Robert and Matson. Robert and Matson came to me when they were doing about 50K per month. Now they're doing over 400K per month. You can see their last 6 deals were insane. 100K, 50K, 25K, 83K. Then we got Amir and Ahmed Halali, right? You can see here that they did 28 contracts in 56 days. I think I made a typo here. And then they also spent some time with Andrew Tate, which is pretty insane. John, he was at like 20 to 40K per month when he came to us. He went all the way to 120K per month very consistently. What's crazy about him is that not only has he gotten to a 120K per month consistently, he's been able to hire a nanny at home, he's been able to buy a sports car, and he's just living his life. We got a bunch of clients we've done similar things for. Dan, he signed 12 contracts in a single week. Nathan Schenkel and Jordan Straub out of Michigan, they added 120K, in assigned deals in their first 45 days at an 11x return on ad spend with us. Brian Sigmund, who in his first 45 days, B2C contracts of $185,000 in revenue. Let's just kind of keep going down here. Antonio and Del Mafada, 38 contracts in their first 3 months. Tom Myers, $405,000 in his first 6 months with us. Vincent Foisey, $240,000 dispo month for him in July 2025. And so all I gotta say is, like, if you need more proof than this, you're gonna have a hard time finding more. I can sit here and I can give you more, but you can see that we absolutely crush it for clients and we know what we're doing. The proof is here. You know exactly what you need to do in order to get this to work. And this is exactly what makes us different from other marketing agencies. We didn't start as marketers. We started as real estate investors that moved into marketing. We understand your business because we've been in your shoes, right? We know exactly what it's like to work these inbound leads. We know what the metrics should be. We know what the biggest challenges are. And we built our entire system around solving all of these issues. The reason why the system works so well is really just number one, we've done it ourselves and we know the metrics. We know exactly how many leads per qualified lead, how many qualified leads per contract, how many contracts per closing, what your average deal size should be, what extra strategy you should be using, where you should be targeting. We know all that stuff. Number two is that this system has been trained on over $10 million of ad spend in our industry, right? This isn't just something that we popped up and said, oh, hey, now we're doing this for, real estate investors. We've been doing this and we spent over $10 million on the system, and there's just no stone that we have overturned per se. And then the last piece of this is that we are leveraging numbers here, right? So if we want to talk about anything at the most basic level in business, right? So just going back to data, we're being extremely data driven and we just know exactly, what works, what doesn't work. And not only are we doing that, but we're leveraging AI with it to really compound it. At this point, if you've maybe heard, hey, Joshua, I've dealt with marketing agents in the past and, maybe I got burned. Look, I get it. The wholesaling space is full of marketing agencies that, promise the world and deliver, I would say, really bad results or absolutely nothing. And, here's what makes us different. Again, we've done exactly what you're trying to do. I'm still an active real estate investor. I still buy, hotels. I know exactly, what's going on in the market today. If our system doesn't work, it doesn't just hurt our clients, it hurts our own business. We have a very high, level reputation, and we intend to keep that high level reputation. I just want to say last time, if you are interested and you want to have a system like this built into your business and you just want to have that conversation, click the link in the description and we'll have a conversation about it. Take care.